change in the fundraising sector has never been greater. But innovations in technology are evolving faster than our ability to understand them. Are these advances good or bad? Do they have unintended consequences? And what is the application to the global fundraising sector? That's what we're here to find out. Welcome to the Fundraising AI podcast, your up-to-date resource for responsible AI for the global fundraising community, hosted by Nathan Chappell and Scott Rosenkrantz.
All right, we're back for another episode of the Fundraising AI podcast, and I'm here with a very special guest in a very special place, actually. This is like a legit podcast studio. I'm here with Gabe Cooper, CEO and founder of Virtuous Software at our headquarters here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, Gabe.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan. Thanks for having me. I feel like we've been hanging out all week already, and so this is just a continuation of a great conversation.
It's icing on the cake. Yeah, too bad we didn't just hit record on a lot of other conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
So for me, this is a special week because I joined Virtuous basically like April 29th of last year. So I missed the all-team meeting last year, just barely. And so this is my first all-team meeting. And it was just amazing to see the last couple of days where, about 150, some people got trapped in the snow at their houses. They couldn't make it. Yeah, which is so sad. But to meet all the people for the first time that I've only seen heads of. And I'm like, oh, you're pregnant. Oh, you're like, I had no idea. You're like 6 feet tall, right? It's been so cool. And I shared this with you yesterday, but of course I became a fanboy of you a long time ago after having been a CRM user my whole career. And I just love the way you talked about like what CRM should do and how they shouldn't just store data, but they should take action. And I started stalking you. I don't know if I've shared this officially, but like, we'd go to an event. You probably sense this anyway, but and I would kind of find my way around like, so where's Gabe and who is he talking to? And I kind of just hang out there for a little while and maybe there'd be a thing to think. And then I'd be like, where are you going to lunch or where are you going to dinner? And I would tag along with other people. And I don't know what it was other than I think the ethos and your approach. I mean, it was always customer first and it was impact first, but it was, that idea of like how technology can scale impact. And it was like for the right reason. So yeah, it's been amazing. And so then this last year being on the team to see this come into fruition this week. And I told you this yesterday, and of course I'm biased, but I'm not exaggerating, is that the vibe that you've created at Virtuous is extremely unique. Like it's this trifecta of really smart people that are also really passionate and also kind and like very caring with each other. So I thought it'd be great for you to just share a little bit of your origin story. I don't know if that was an intentional like 10 or how many years you can go back to this. Like, what was the problem you were trying to solve? And like, did you have an idea of like, this is what it would be a dozen years later?
Gosh, I don't know that anybody, when they first start something, has a full, complete vision. I think for most founders, you're just dumb enough to do it anyway without knowing how the future is going to play out. But certainly it's sort of more than I had hoped for. And more than I'd hoped for, I think, for the thing you mentioned, which is I get to work with shockingly smart people who are incredibly kind every day. And that's the thing I didn't predict. That's just been such an amazing part of the job to this point. So yeah, when I started Virtuous about 11 years ago, I'd spent several years in and around the nonprofit space for nonprofits and running an agency software company that served the nonprofit space. But more than that, I just had a passion for sort of generosity more generally and was frustrated both working with nonprofit tech, but as a donor to nonprofits. This experience sort of sucks. And technology in the right hands can really solve some of these problems. And the big problem we're trying to solve, and we've talked about this a lot, is how do you create personal experiences for donors that draw them into the cause in a meaningful way, make them give more sacrificially, right? And it's just this virtuous cycle, I guess. And so that's really what we founded Virtuous for. But it's been great to see it actually come to fruition.
Was the idea, of course, Virtuous is known as being a responsive fundraising platform. And I don't know when that kind of manifests itself, if that was kind of it's the ethos all along, but I don't know if that like came into its own at a certain point and then it became kind of declaratively like the thing that people saw. It was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, again, I always bought a CRM thinking I need a place to store my data in case like Joe wins the lottery and he's never coming back. And I have a record of donors and we can make sure that we could provide receipts. But I had never considered like CRM responsive. It never even occurred to me throughout my career that all that data could actually be put into action. So I don't know, at what point did that kind of like, was that from the beginning or kind of?
Yeah, the purpose, the why was there from the very beginning. It's like the reason we founded it was to solve this problem. I think what we discovered is the more we would talk to fundraising professionals, they would say, yes, I've wanted to do that my entire career. I don't know how to do it. And also I don't know like what it's called.
Right.
And so probably about 8 years ago, we were like, okay, we're planting a flag in the ground and saying, this thing everybody already wants to do, it's responsive fundraising. And so that's the thing. And so I think the story's been there from day one, but really the calling it something has probably been a 7-8 year journey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've written 2 books about it. So I think that philosophy is actually now really concrete. And I mean, it's something that, I mean, it's everywhere, all over the Virtuous office, but it's also something that our team proudly talks about. And because it takes it again from system of record to a system of action.
Yes.
And one of the best things that over the past year for me has been, walking alongside, Virtuous customers, some who are brand new, who are like, holy moly, like yes, this is like what I dreamed of. And now it does this thing. And then others that, I mean, been on Virtuous for longer. And it's like kind of crazy to see like how much they put the system to work. And just to see that delta between like someone else that implemented a different, solution, and they're just kind of doing the same thing they've always done. And then you see these like Virtuous customers catapulting and then like increasing not just funds raised, but like their ability to connect with the donors like in a more intimate way. And it's not only good for the short term, like for the nonprofit sector in the short term, it's good for the long term too, and how we're embracing relationships and increasing trust by communicating in more personal ways.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the disheartening trends that we've seen in giving in the US is since the advent of like the iPhone and social media, there's this wave of distractions that are now washing over most folks. And so one of the downstream impacts of that has been like, it's harder and harder to break through with what we call everyday donors, people that give $100, $1,000.
Yeah.
And because of that, what you see is less and less people engaging in charity every year. And you're having more and more major donors that are having to step up and cover the gap. And that's bad for the future of generosity. A lot of times we can celebrate the big headline number, look, generosity stayed the same or went up in this country. It's great. But when you double click and you're like, oh gosh, there's this underlying trend that's not sustainable.
Right.
And it's not just because it's future money flowing to nonprofits. That's true. But it's also like, we don't want to live in a world that's less generous. Like, like when people are generous, things are generally better. And so that's the thing we're trying to create.
Yeah. Well, you and I, this is all simpatico as well, because, and I think I've shared this with you, but I felt this burden to write a book called The Generosity Crisis. And it was not something I had never wanted to be a writer. It wasn't something that it was like, oh, I'm going to fulfill my life's destiny. It was, I tried to convince several other people to write a book called The Generosity Crisis. And surprisingly, there's no takers. And then probably done with the manuscript or close to it. And your book comes out and your first chapter is called The Generosity Crisis. And I remember just like, I broke out in a sweat. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. And my head was swarming. And I think you and we've talked about this, but I'm convinced, and I think you are too, that when people are convinced, if they're presented with data, that what got you here won't get you there. Like the concrete evidence of like what we're doing does not work long term, then the motivation to change becomes worth the change. And so I've seen you do that, and I've seen you pour into that. And so, your role with Giving USA and serving as the incoming chair or already chair, you're deeply passionate about that idea of technology is an enabler and can help accelerate this. But the underlying passion is that you don't want to see a future that looks far less generous than it does today. Yeah. So what drives that? Like, was that something that you were raised with and you just had this like overdeveloped sense of consciousness that?
Yeah. I mean, it is probably, my parents were both just incredibly generous people. And so I saw it modeled a lot. And then as I got older, I met a couple of folks that are really involved in, what you might call like generosity movement. And so I saw people that were in the business world doing really things were just like freakishly and sacrificially generous and doing it in a way that was sort of contagious. And then you just see this like ripple effect out from those people, even when it's anonymous or nobody knows what created the gift, and you see people re-give and re-give, and you see these like sort of cultural waves emanate out from that. And I looked at it and I'm like, man, that is just, it's magic. And it's antithetical to a lot of what you see, honestly, in culture, like whether it's political divides or ideological divides or just like sort of consumerism. We're in a world where you're always encouraged to buy something, or always encouraged to spend like 20 more minutes scrolling at feed. We live in this bombardment of just consume, and people we're not supposed to like. And generosity is like the thing that breaks down those walls, gets you more focused on your neighbor than yourself. And so it's just magic.
Yeah, it reminds me of the book by Chris Anderson, Infectious Generosity, and this idea of like, you caught the bug, right? And it ties into something that, we're biologically wired for, right? Humans are pro-social beings, and we wouldn't be here if we weren't. But to your point, it's almost like everything is working against you to really even spend time to think about what it is. And in fact, I worry less about the person who doesn't give to a charity this year. I worry more about the person who goes to bed not even thinking if they should.
Yes.
And so that is, again, going back to that, like the inundation of technology, and average person swipes 300 feet on their phone a day, and just emails and Slacks and all this stuff. And it's just so easy to kind of like spend your time thinking about, I just got to get this thing over with. But to your point, your generosity ties into like the most inherent human instinct. So I love that. So from responsive fundraising, I mean, again, so that's a 12-year kind of manifestation. The world's changed a little bit. Slightly. I mean, we were talking yesterday and you showed a slide that had like 12 logos of companies that we're playing with and experimenting with and encouraging our entire team to just try. And I mean, of those 12 logos, I think 8 of them didn't even exist 6 months ago. Like, the world changed a lot in 12 years. And so to go from like responsive fundraising to kind of this next era, I think about the future. We know we're really bad at predicting the future. Like, that's just one thing. Like, we're like, oh, like if I had to predict like where we'd be in like ChatGPT world today, like large language models, I probably would have said like, oh, 2030, 2033, maybe we'd be there. And now we find ourselves here. Do you have a sense of kind of like next frontier? Like, where does responsive fundraising go into this new world where like so much more is possible?
Yes. Yeah, it's a great question. The reality is we're all trying to figure that out, right? And so I can prognosticate here for 30 minutes, and 6 months from now, you could re-listen to this.
Right.
About half of it. It's just all changing so fast. But there's a few things that I'm convinced of. Number one is AI can make a massive impact on fundraising and generosity, but it can make a massive impact on program. And so even though I'm always super jazzed about fundraising, I just want to acknowledge like big problems like disease and poverty, wealth inequality, like joblessness, all of these things. If AI is deployed well in a human first kind of way, it has the power to solve for a lot of these problems. This is why you've talked about this, is why I think the nonprofit sector is maybe now more important than ever, because the sort of the leaning by default of the nonprofit sector is how do we create good in the world? Now we have this massively powerful tool that can be used for good or not good, right? And so in some sense, the sector should lead the way on making sure that on the program side, we're leveraging AI to get the best outcomes and being the sort of out front leaders in the world. So that's one. On the fundraising side, I'm going to steal from you here. I like the term that you've coined recently, which is N of one fundraising. And so it's this idea now that with AI, I'll step back for a second. One of the big things about Virtuous that we did that people loved was this idea of fundraising automation. You could watch somebody's behavior. They click an email or they give their first gift, and you could automate a set of touch points on multiple channels. And so they get the right communication at the right time. And that was a huge step forward, right? The problem was the emails that they get, let's say it's a welcome series, the emails they get in the welcome series, everybody that gives their first gift is basically getting kind of the same email.
Right.
It's like mostly personalized, but it's not what you might call N of one. So N of one meaning like, this person and their personality and their needs only exist once in the world. So how do I treat them as an individual person? Well, I think now for the first time, AI is this amazing technology that actually allows us to have N of one. Like, we can create content that's very unique to that person. We can know so much about who they are and what they care about, that this you can kind of think it as the promise of responsive fundraising can
Mhm.
only be like 80% fulfilled in the
Yeah.
old model. And now you can kind of close the gap on that other 20% to really create like truly personal moments at every stage.
Yeah, I love it so much because, having started my AI journey in 2017 only on the AI ML side, which is the machine learning predictive AI, it's like I knew then that it was going to be transformative in the sense of like, now we can understand what a donor looked like the day before they made a gift, right? We could understand that, but we had no way of activating it, right? So it was just like, oh, it makes us feel good. Like we solved this like 2,300-year-old dilemma that Aristotle talked about in the barriers of generosity. But then it's like, then what, right? So there was always this like, okay, well, then we've got to catch up to the next thing. Meanwhile, you had been steadily going forward on building like tools that allowed people to create lots of personas. So like I think about Arkansas Children. So Matt Price built like 100 different personas. So it's not, again, personalized to the N of one, but you provided a platform that allowed for that if you wanted to. And then to your point, now it's like, we finally have that other side of the coin, which is like, oh, now we can understand with a great deal of certainty what a person looked like before they made their gift. And we can start modeling from that with, like our insights product and just like high degree of like efficacy and data. But now it's like, oh my gosh, we have an automation pipeline already built. So then we have an AI overlay, then takes that to the N of one. So it's like, it's kind of magical, right? Because like that, what we're talking about was not even possible, even like, I mean, definitely 2 years ago, but probably a year ago, we would have been like, oh, that will come sometime in the future.
And the future is now
Yeah.
100%, right? And so it's maybe the most exciting / scary time fundraiser because all of the things that you thought were impossible are now possible
Right.
today, not some future day, which is amazing. So most fundraisers right now are dealing with sort of two simultaneous feelings, which is this amazing sort of optimism and excitement about what's possible and what this represents in the world.
Yeah.
At the same time, this like massive fear, and fear is sort of like combined with like even ethical dilemmas. What does it mean to be human?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
If I'm having AI craft all this stuff, is it authentic? Does it really mean anything? Am I being dishonest and inauthentic in my fundraising practices? And so now there's all this like sort of new set of things that have been sort of thrust on fundraisers. And so it's exciting, but it's a sort of a non-trivial moment to navigate that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. I think we have to name it, right? We have to name the tension in the moment and not shy away from it. I've had a weird week. I wrote an article about this on the airplane over that, it basically was called Sorry If I Made You Cry. So I made two people cry this week, and one was out of sheer overwhelm. And he had come to me and said, hey, can you describe what I should do? And I didn't mean it to be overwhelming, but I shared kind of the moment we're in. And he had, I mean, in very, like everyone senses this, right? They're wrestling with whether it's named or not. The other one ended up getting teary because he just saw a world of possibility of like, I've got all these amazing ideas in my head, and now there's a way to like extract them.
Yeah.
So he cried out of like sheer, just like, oh my gosh, like, and just, yeah, it was so exciting. And we've had those conversations here this week because we are truly like at Virtuous, human first, AI forward. There's no person at Virtuous that can go back to doing things the way they've always been doing them and thinking it will suffice. Like the pace has increased, the need for that has increased, our customers deserve it, all of those things. And it creates tension for people who don't like change. And, many people in the nonprofit sector don't like change. Our sector is not known for being super adaptable and loving change, but it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And so I think it's important to name it. It's also important to recognize where it's coming from, whether it's overwhelm or if it's FOMO, because those require different things, right? One is like, you're having FOMO. Well, spend 30 minutes a day and just play. Like, just go in and just like, don't try to create anything perfect, like beautiful, just play, and if it's overwhelm, then try to prioritize and recognize that all of your things in your head are not the top priority, and then do what you can do as a human. And so, yeah, I think it's an interesting moment. As a leader, how much do you think about that? Like, you've got to think about the future to be able to compete successfully. So you can't let the throttle off the gas, but you also have a team recognizing, only 20% of people look forward to change. And the rest of them are like, don't do this to me, or they're sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is understanding that everybody's at a different point in their journey and understanding this stuff. And so I mean, some of it is just sober, honest conversations. I think it's important for nonprofits to hear this too, is that you're likely not going to get replaced by AI, but you will likely get replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI. It's just, and again, I don't want to be too sort of brutal with some of these statements, but the reason that's true is because if somebody on your team can have 5 times more impact, let's say you're in pet rescue, right?
Mhm.
And somebody that's learned to leverage AI can make one donor dollar go 5 times further to have 5 times more impact in rescuing 5 times more animals.
Right.
It's almost irresponsible
Right. Exactly.
stewardship not to do that thing,
Right.
And that sort of imperative seems like hard in this moment when everybody's figuring stuff out. But so one of the mandates for our team has been that sort of sober sort of conversation. At the same time, leaning in with a lot of empathy, knowing everybody's at a different point in their journey. And like you said, it's really just curiosity. It's playing, and I'm 50 now. My brain's less pliable than it used to be.
Wow. I can't imagine what it used to be like.
It's things are calcifying. And so I get it. Like, it's hard. Like, the first time smartphones came out, or the first time the internet came out, or, the first time everybody's on horses and somebody drives through a town in a car, it's like this. It's a sea change. And if you're not wired that way, it's a hard moment. But I would say, you said this a lot before, but if you think about it as play and curiosity, like no strings attached, it could go horribly wrong. I can throw it all away, and you give yourself permission to be curious. I've heard you use the word wonder before. And it's hard to step back from that perspective, but I think that really is the thing that bridges the gap.
Yeah, that part is so important. And I get a lot of requests for organizations to talk about curiosity because it feels less technical. It's something that inherently every person, like, we're born inherently curious, childlike wonder. And now I overlay the word urgency, because now the pace is to a point of, like, I love what you said about, like, it almost becomes like a moral imperative to use AI, because if you believe in your mission so much, and the goal of every nonprofit is essentially to put themselves out of business. I mean, it's the same. I think years ago I said this and it didn't land very well, but it was basically, there'll be a point in the future where not using AI will be like irresponsible, and donors will look at you like, you're, and people did not like that. They were like, that's BS and that's not true. But I'm like, think about this for a minute. If your nonprofit goes and says, I'm not going to use the internet because of cyberbullying and all this other bad stuff and social media and all the things that it's done.
I'm not going to use the printing press because I just rather write.
Right. Yeah.
On papyrus and hand them out manually.
Right.
Like, at a certain point, you can do it.
Right. Yeah.
But it may not be the most effective way to accomplish it.
And ends up, it becomes irresponsible at that point in this moral imperative. So at the same time, like, of course I worry about different aspects of the future. I believe in the human condition to, like, prioritize humans. And we were just talking to our customer success team, and the number one strategic advantage they have is that they're human, right? And they can, like, look at a customer eye to eye and be like, hey, I understand, like, let's, there's an issue here. Let's figure this out together and we're going to get through this. And AI can have seemingly all the answers, but it will never truly empathize with you, pretend to. And whether you believe it or not, it's one thing, but it's like your brain is wired. And actually, when they show brain scans, it's really interesting. Brain scans of a person talking to a bot, there's almost no chemical reaction. Like, your brain is we're biologically not wired to have, like, this emotional thing with a synthetic being, but like a person to person. And that's, I love that, because, like, thinking about the fundraiser analogy, is like the fundraiser is like, well, I'm an inherently human job. Yes, but the work that you use to prepare yourself to get in front of a person, if that could be done 20% faster with 50% greater accuracy, then that becomes something that you can spend more time doing the things that you love to do.
Yes.
And we've seen, I don't know if you have any favorite success stories of clients, just like even just getting onto Virtuous and being like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was possible.
So many, especially with our automation tools, just automate huge amounts of manual work. These sucked up hours and hours and hours a week. And now I have those hours back and I can do more things with donors. I think the important thing here is in a room of nonprofits, maybe only a half will have heard the word like agentic AI or an appreciation for what agentic AI means. This is really sort of the magic. And so you think about AI. So like large language models can look at a bunch of text, figure out what it's saying, and then derive new things or new conclusions, summarize stuff. So it can make sense of a lot of text or images or whatever things, right? Agents is like just automation. So if you've ever used like our fundraising automation tool, it just automates a bunch of tasks. That's what agentic AI is. It's some AI and some automation. So why that's important for fundraisers is I can go through my weekly calendar and I can look and say, what are the human tasks I'm doing or the non-human tasks I'm doing that suck?
Yeah.
Like I have to bring this crap out of Google Sheets, figure out what it means, and then put it in this other thing.
No one likes that.
I have to transcribe the notes on this dumb piece of paper and then put it in this other thing. I have to come up with a meeting agenda again and get the whole thing in a Word doc and get it sent out to the team. There's a death by 1,000 cuts in nonprofit. I talk to fundraisers all the time. I'm like, what percentage of your week you spend talking to donors? So like 20%, maybe.
Right.
A good week.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's make it 80%.
Right.
It's like use AI and automation, agentic AI, just to remove all the stuff that you don't want to do anyway.
Right.
It's like, you didn't sign up to do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's making you get home at night unhappy. Why don't we use agentic AI to strip all of that away? It's going to make you 10 times more effective. And to your point, fundraising is inherently human.
Yeah.
The more human sorts of things that we can do in the job, the more effective we're going to be as a fundraiser. And so that's for fundraisers, I'm just incredibly excited.
It's a huge difference. I mean, it is a paradigm shift to go from like 20/80 to 80/20. I mean, like, and again, like when we talk about fundraiser burnout and, I mean, I spent my entire career literally losing good people because like whatever the pressure and they just couldn't be as successful as they thought they could be. And then onboarding new people and that it's a vicious cycle, and it's interesting because, of course, Virtuous just bought Momentum recently, I don't know how long ago, 6 months, last year sometime. I had been an advisor with Momentum and I knew Nick and Griff for quite a while. And again, I believed in its ability to kind of prioritize donors and feed them to fundraisers quickly, but I didn't understand the impact of what that would make in terms of like fundraiser success, in terms of like fundraiser retention. And to find out that now organizations have been using Momentum for a while have tripled the amount of time that fundraisers stay in the job. So from 18 months to 36 months. And it's wild, right? Because that's like probably one of the biggest cost burdens of a fundraising team or anyone who's is just like hiring someone, training them up. Fundraisers don't get to their full productivity until about year 2.5 to 3.
Yes.
And so they're just in the cycle where they're never actually fully contributing. But then if you tripling the amount of time a fundraiser stays in the job, because essentially they're becoming more successful because you offloaded the stuff they didn't want to do and serving it to them. I mean, that's like insane. I mean, that's like magical.
It's magical. Yeah. And the other big thing with Momentum that I've been so excited about is historically the nonprofits I've worked with, they have a big direct response to digital program. It's our send the email newsletter, the appeal to almost everybody on the file.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have major gift strategy. And so you're looking for those, depending on the sector, you're like $50,000 plus gifts.
Right.
Then there's this chunky middle. You call it like middle class to upper middle class America that can probably afford to give $5,000 at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to universities, healthcare, human services across the board. It's like, what do you do with those people?
Yeah.
And it's like, nothing now. I'm like, why not? Well, because the math is I would need my people to carry a portfolio of 500 donors to make the math work. I can't do that. It's like, no, you can't. You totally can now. And just the opening up of that sort of like, and it's particularly through this Momentum product, it's like, now you can triple your portfolio size and not hit your job and not turn over after 2 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, to 10x your portfolio capacity like overnight, and then with a high degree of accuracy, it's like it's pretty insane. And again, then fundraisers stay because they're doing more work better.
That's right.
And everyone wins. So I mean, Virtuous made a big splash with that, but essentially, like from a cultural perspective, went from a single product company sort of, and we already had a couple of products, but like now truly a multi-product company, meaning like Momentum is great because you don't have to be a Virtuous CRM customer to be on Momentum. You can be a Salesforce or a Blackbaud. And I mean, that's a big move, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big move. So is that signal kind of like the future state of where Virtuous is going in terms of like multiple products, kind of the single interface, or?
I mean, the easiest way to look at it from the highest level is I've fallen in love with my customers' problems. I have not fallen in love with in any particular product. any product is just a tool to be able to solve the customer problem.
Right.
That's the thing I care most about. And as an organization, we care deeply about our customer problems. So what we found is, especially now with the rise of AI, is there's going to be all sorts of interesting ways. Momentum is just the first that we can lean in and solve real pain for real customers. And sometimes you don't need to like swap your entire CRM. Honestly, a lot of times you do, and a lot of people wait way too long to do it.
Right.
Sometimes it's overkill. Sometimes you just need to accelerate your major donor team with our Raise Online Giving product. Sometimes it's just like, we need to create donation forms that are data-driven and tell the story of our organization better, right?
Right.
So we think being able to bring the right solution to bear at the right time, focused on solving particular pains, is just a better way to serve the sector long-term.
Yeah.
And so what you'll see from us moving forward is, leaning into this multi-product, like how can we bring the right solution to bear to help you with what you're dealing with today, right? But then it is also leaning into AI. So Momentum is like AI first product. What we're moving toward now is like AI in everything, like Virtuous as the AI leader in the nonprofit sector. We want to like be an organization that helps shepherd our sector through this moment and come out the other side like way better than we started.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, obviously, as chief AI officer, that is like, I mean, honestly, it's surreal to me because I spent a lot of time, early 2017 to 2021, 2022, talking about AI, and it was just not understood. It wasn't taken seriously by most people. And it, over the last couple of days here at the all team kickoff, it's like, I mean, to that point, AI in everything, right? Like we should not be thinking about solving new problems in old ways. Like you have an abundance of tools and unlock your imagination to do these things. And it's surreal because now it's like overwhelming because it's like there's so many possibilities. So, all right, two last questions. So one, just from a practical sense. So obviously there's lots of overwhelm and like nonprofit leaders are, now leading in a Technicolor world when they've been used to, leading in a black and white world. Like, is there any advice that you'd give them to like just get to the next level? Like if you've been doing things the same way, you're feeling the tension that it's not working, your goals keep on going up, but you're just working harder to achieve those goals. Like, is there any practical advice that you kind of give them?
Yeah, there's a couple of bigger things and a couple of very practical. So the bigger thing is that you can have people come in to help you, but you have to be curious and have childlike wonder around this stuff. I mean, if you think about just common challenges in fundraising over the last 50 years, you hear stories like, we didn't know how to raise major gifts, and so we tried to pay somebody from the outside to come and raise major gifts for us, and we had no idea how to do it ourselves, and usually that ends poorly.
Right.
What works is when you bring somebody in to help, but you're leaning in to learn at the same time, and you're trying to level people. Same with direct response. You pick your fundraising channel. If it's like, I'm outsourcing that, I don't care, I don't want to think about it, it just never goes as well. And so this is not a problem that you can fully outsource. You have to lean in and be curious, carve out time in your day, time at night. Don't even try to solve a work problem.
Yeah.
Like try to solve a home repair. We did a dumb little like a car race at our whole team kickoff this week. Our CFO created an app and AI that tracked like a real-time leaderboard and a bracket of the car races, right? It's
nice.
So goofy and so fun, but you give yourself permission to experiment. The other thing is like super practically speaking, a lot of these new tools like Claude Cowork is super powerful. There's a bunch of these really powerful tools. Sometimes depending on your IT security policies, you want to make sure that you're actually caring about security, but one that you don't have to worry about as quite as much is Lovable.
Right.
So if you guys haven't heard about Lovable today, a great place to start just to get wonder, go to Lovable, log in with your Google account, and then type in the words like, I need a landing page for my next campaign.
Yeah.
And then type, here's my current website, and then type, here's some copy from that campaign, and just hit go. Just type those words and hit go and watch what happens. Just give yourself permission. Now, are you going to use that landing page? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But just give that a shot. And it's going to start creating this like, whoa, how does it do that? I didn't know what was possible. And then your imagination will get spinning on everything else.
Yeah. I just do it. Like, just get in there, try it, take some time away from the computer to like imagine and dream about, your biggest challenges and the things that you wish you could do if you had a magic wand. And I promise you'll never have an epiphany if you're sitting swiping 300 feet on your phone a day. But if you step away and do that, so actually you kind of spoiled it, because you are like the world's biggest tinkerer. Like, the thing I tell people a lot that I love the most about working with you, other than that you're really smart and professional and kind, is that you're a doer. And I don't know the last time I've gotten on any call with you, we were like, let me just show you my screen for a second of something that I was playing with last night or 5 o'clock this morning or something. And it's amazing. I know we can't get too attached to AI tools, because as soon as you do, you fall in love. They'll break your heart.
Yes.
By 2 weeks later. But if you could only have one AI tool today, it just like it doesn't matter if it's free or paid, like, what would be the tool that you just could not live without? Like, you just can't go back.
Yeah. It's different for everybody, and everybody has different needs. The two for me right now, I know you said
you're going to break the rules.
I have like,
I know you got a lot. I know.
10 open tabs of these things right now. Okay, one is a real dumb, easy one. It's Fixer. So it sits in my email inbox. It reads my email and it helps me draft my email.
Yeah.
And so now I read and change the email that gets drafted.
Right.
But it helps me get through my inbox probably 80% faster.
Yeah, sure.
Dumb utility. Gosh, it's great.
Yeah.
The other one is probably Replit, because it allows you to build software without being a coder, which is pure magic.
Yeah.
Right. And I was an engineer by trade, but man, my skills are rusty and it would take me so long to build something.
Yeah.
Now, as quick as I can imagine it, I can build it. Now, is it scalable? Is it stuff that we would deploy into the wild at Virtuous? Probably not. But man, for a bunch of like stuff around your office, like, oh, I wish we had an app for that at the office. God, it's just perfect for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
all right.
there's 10 other ones.
I know, it's so hard, right? It's so hard. I think about Notebook LM, which is free. Like, I have no intention of ever reading a 60-page PDF ever again. Like, I am a video learner, an audio learner. So like everything I just throw into there. But actually you changed my answer, because talking about Fixer, I use Fixer too. Actually, I am not a good typer. I actually elected to take home ec instead of typing, because that's where the girls were hanging out in high school. And I'm like, I'm gonna take home ec. I should have learned typing. And so typing has never come natural to me. And so Whisper, I don't know if you use Whisper. Great. I haven't typed an email in like 6 months. Like, I voice dictate everything. Yeah. And I mean, I don't care if I'm on an airplane, I get earpods in. My prompts are 100 times better, because it's not like controlled by how many characters I have to like bang out of my fingers to my keyboard. It's just like what's on my mind, and it's iterative and clunky, and Whisper's contextual. So it'd probably be, I just have no intention of ever typing again. Yeah. So it'd probably have to be Whisper.
The other one similar to that is Granola. If you've used Granola, and it's like an app that just records all of your conversations and meetings, summarizes everything, tells you what the tasks are, tells you what the takeaways from the meeting should be. If it's in-person meetings, you just have it on your phone, you throw it in the middle of the table, and then you tell people that you're recording it with Granola.
Sure.
But man, to not have to circulate like meeting notes,
it's nuts.
Who signed up for what after the meeting is just like
crazy. Yeah. I use Plowd for the same thing. If I'm at a conference, I throw it on there, and it's amazing what it can record. And yeah. All right. Well, we went way past one, but no, I mean, it just shows like where we're at, right? And it's amazing, because I don't know any of those apps that actually existed at 12 months ago, right? Actually, they're all within 12 months. And it's just like insane to know and to even think about another 12 months and 24 months from now, and like, the convergence of all these things. So it goes back, we'll kind of, end where we started, which is like that idea of just play, just have fun. Don't expect to create something perfect. Just like literally have fun. And that translates, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, I give this advice to one of our 28-year-old employees who, he literally came to me. He's like, am I going to have a job in the future? And I'm like, yes, you are. But you are going to need to like really get curious with urgency to use AI. And the next day he came back, he's like, guess what I did last night? He goes, I stayed up till midnight. I was just playing. And it was so cool. He was just like grinning, because he was like excited about what he could do. And so, well, I want to thank you for your time, for building a company that is not just a good company, but doing a good company that's doing good things for the right reasons. And with that, acknowledging that human first, AI forward kind of approach is that we can't afford to just do this thing to make a lot of money and hopefully help our clients, and then maybe destroy the future of generosity, as an unintended consequence. But like, you're very thoughtful about, okay, what are the actions that we're taking now and how will they promote and protect trust and keep donors at the center of everything we do. So I just love that. And yeah, I just want to thank you for really being a beacon in this industry. And not only that, walking the talk and your leadership with just different nonprofit boards and Giving USA and all the things that you do to just like really carry the flag.
Now, I'm grateful and same to you. I mean, listeners of this will probably know from the conversation, I'm not saying anything novel on this podcast because half of the smart stuff I say I probably stole from Nathan at some point in the past. And so, yeah, the work you're doing with Fundraising AI and at Virtuous and in the industry pushing the ball forward here, it means a lot.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Gabe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Fundraising AI podcast.